Hello everyone. So today I would like to present the project that we created recently, Opencode on Openshell on Openshift, that I called OOO, just in name of old OpenStack project. And let's see what it actually solves and why do we need things like that. So firstly, let's describe the problem. Currently, I think everyone is using AI code agents, and they're very cool and productive and help us a lot. But there is one problem with them, they are not secure. So firstly, leaking passwords and secrets to some compromised internet site is the reality of today. Auto-running scripts that inject it and prompt injections are reality as well. And in order to run autonomous agents that we don't control them and we actually don't watch them, we need to come with a more secure solution for this. So what are current problems that we have? So firstly, agents are uncontrolled right now. If you run Cloud Code on your laptop, it has access to all your files, including secrets, including files that you probably don't want to reveal. It can run binaries, it can access any site in the internet. And if you want to run it in full autonomous mode, you have no idea what it can access and what not. Second problem is access and revealing API keys or any credentials that allow AI agent to access LLM APIs. There are various prompt injections that can actually reveal these API keys and send them to compromised internet sites. One of problem to run multiple AI agents on structure like Openshift, Kubernetes, and shared infrastructure is isolation between various agents. We don't want one agent to get access to other agent code. And in case we use GitHub credentials, for example, you don't want other people to get access to your GitHub credentials, I think. And last but not least, it's audit trail, because when agent creates 200 API requests, you don't know if one of these 200 requests is actually sending your private SSH keys to internet. So we would like to track every call and be sure that nothing is going wrong there. And in case we have infected environment, we can detect it easily by audit trail. So let's see the first layer of this security. It's Openshell. Openshell is an NVIDIA project, and Red Hat currently is one of main contributors there. And what it provides is secure sandboxes for AI agents. It can be both for interactive work, when people just run their AI agent inside the terminal and code with them, or it can be a sandbox for autonomous agents that run completely autonomously, independently, and does its work. So what Openshell provides for? Firstly, it acts kind of firewall for AI agents sandboxes, and it has deny by default networking. It means it has deny all in the end, and whitelist for things that you want to allow. For example, you want to allow access to GitHub and GitLab and Jira. You allow this in its policy. You allow binaries to run, for example, GitHub client like JH, and Openshell will ensure that no any other binary will try to get to GitHub, and no other site will be accessed from the sandbox except those that you allowed. Of course, it provides everything that container provides for us: isolation of process, of file system, of namespaces, and so on. Currently, Openshell supports Podman and Docker running locally, and Kubernetes including Openshift and micro VMs. Also, it can help with API key hiding. For example, it acts like a proxy, and every request to LLM API will go to the gateway of Openshell when it injects the API keys inside the request. So AI agent actually doesn't know anything about API keys it uses. In our case, we install Openshell on Openshift to provide service for our developers and users and autonomous agents. But you can use it as well with Podman on your laptop and just to run it locally. And Openshell currently is a recommended way to run sandboxes in the company. Okay, so we talked about sandboxes in Openshell, right? And the core of this sandbox in Openshell is actually containers that we build. So containers that we use is built with various tools that helps you to code, to develop, to run pull request reviews, to run agents with autonomous tasks, to run Jira requests, and so on and so on. So for agent code, we use Opencode. It's a terminal AI code assistant, kind of cloud code and Gemini CLI or anti-gravity CLI. It can run in both interactively and in totally headless mode. We also include some dev tools like Git, Vim, GCC, Python, and whatever. For working with various services, we use clients like GH for GitHub, glab for GitLab, and ACLI, it's Jira Console client. They're all auto-configured from environment variables that you provide. And we use some tools like ACLI and Google Cloud for working with libvirt and download, for example, clouds logs from Google Cloud for Pro and anything else. When running the sandbox, you can provide environment file and it will configure in this auto start all the tools for services that we have. For example, you can provide your GitHub token, GitLab access token, ACLI token for from Jira, and it will configure everything on the start. And for AI coding agent, we use Opencode. It's a kind of cloud code, but open source. Well, cloud code was open sourced by mistake recently, but still, we would like to have a tool that we can contribute to it, we can track its development and participate in it. So what is Opencode? It's a terminal tool. It supports various LLMs, I think all of them that possible. It can do everything that AI terminal agent can do, like read, edit, and creating files, running any shell commands that you allow to run. And as I said before, it has two modes: headless for running autonomous agent with one prompt, and interactive mode for running for developer with user interaction. It has all tool integrations that we have in the sandbox with GitHub, GitLab, and Jira, and anything else. And of course, it has MCP support and skill support and everything. So this is our main tool that we will run in our sandbox for AI coding. And last but not least, Openshift, that we install Openshell there. And in our case, we choose an architecture by installing Openshell gateway for every developer, for every user. We trust our developers and would like to have freedom for everyone to define policy, for example, to customize policy, general policies that we have for everyone, and to allow another tools that they want to use and probably access another network resources. So everyone will have the full OpenShell environment, including gateway and sandboxes as containers that running in pods. For better user experience, we have Devportal that the user can use it for managing their sandboxes, creating them, deleting them, injecting environment variables there, uploading and downloading code from them. Because, as I said, Sandbox doesn't have mounts. When you want to use code there, you need to upload and download back. But we can use it with local IDs using SSH, and we will look later how we can use it with IDs. So for every user, we will have tenant, gateway, connected dev portal for better user experience with management of sandboxes, and various sandboxes that user can create for them or for autonomous agents. So as admin of the system, I need to provision a user. It will create a tenant, Openshell gateway, policy for this gateway, and everything else that's needed for running sandboxes, and provide to user gateway URL. And user can add this URL and create sandboxes. Another option is using the portals that I provide URL for that as well. Sandboxes can live either forever if you want to use one sandbox for interactive development, for example, for one project or anything else, or you can kill a sandbox just after you finish your work. And for autonomous agents, probably it's better strategy to kill the sandbox right after it's finished. Alright, let's see what we have in Devportal and how we create actually sandbox. So firstly, you have their getting started, setup instructions. Please go over these instructions, install Openshell CLI, register the gateway that you got from your admin. In your Devportal, actually, you will see exactly the command to use, this one. Then you can see if Openshell status is everything is okay, gateway is up. To create environment file for authentication with all APIs that you want to work with, like GitLab, GitHub, Jira, Cloud Models in VertexAI, and so on. Then, for example, you can connect with Openshell, but we will see other ways to connect to the Sandbox, and you can upload and download results from there. So Sandbox is isolated container, it doesn't mount anything, any file system. So if you want to work on files there, you need to upload them. And then to download changed files. That were instructions, and now let's try to create some sandbox. Let's call it my sandbox environment file. I have it already prepared. In this case, we will not upload anything, but in case you have a repository, it's better to do zip or targz and upload the archive. It will be extracted to the working directory. CPU 2 cores and memory 4 gigabytes. You can switch and tweak it. And image override if you want to override the default sandbox image. I don't see any reasons to do it. So let's press create sandbox. It's provisioned now and it will take about 10-20 seconds. Maybe first time it will take about 1 or 2 minutes. Now when it's ready, we have here command how to run it, how to connect to it, to upload files to it, and to download files. In case you want to upload from here, you have the button and delete to delete it. Okay, so let's start from this simple command and let's connect to the sandbox. Of course, before you need to add the gateway. In my case, I already added it, and we can see that it already exists. You can see your gateways list and see which gateway actually is active right now. Alright, when we connect, it starts to authenticate from environment file, and we can see that in my case it authenticated with GitHub, GitLab, Jira, and everything else. Alright, let's run Opencode here. Alright, we have interactive Opencode. Let's choose the model from VertexAI. In our case, let's try 4.6 default. And just to check, let's run some very simple query. If it answers, it worked. It authenticated with VertexAI and everything is okay. Now let's quit. So we can work on this interactively with Opencode and run queries there and use it as a coding agent. But let's try something more interesting. For example, let's run Opencode in headless mode. To run the headless mode, we'll need command opencode run. Dangerous key permissions in our case totally fine because we're running it inside the sandbox. It will not ask anything. Specifying model. In this case, let's run it with Sonnet 4.6 and simple prompt. Alright, it printed how to add numbers in Python, and that's okay. So this is a way to run Opencode in headless mode, for example, for agents, for autonomous agents, and workflows. Alright, but let's do something more interesting. For example, if we really need to run agent autonomously, we cannot connect to Sandbox and trying to run it interactive, right? So we need one command to do it. And let's try this command sandbox exec. So in this case, we execute one command in the sandbox, we connect to it, execute the command and exit. This is how actually scripting works here. So let's see what this command does. Firstly, exec -n, it's name of the sandbox, not TUI, bash, and command in the bash. We go to the working dir, run opencode with choose model, run command, digitally skip permissions, and in our case we will review the PR. It's just random PR that I have in GitHub. And in this case, it will clone the PR, it will review it and post in the GitHub. So the full workflow actually in one command. Let's try it. So we can see it's fetching the PR. And finally, it posted in GitHub. Just to prove it, let's see. Comment it now. So this is a review that we have here. Alright, so this is actually the way to run autonomous agents. But you need sandbox already exists. So before that, you create the sandbox, run the command, and in case you don't need it anymore, you just delete the sandbox. Everything in one script. And we have a script to do it. I will show you later. And before moving to next topic, let's see Openshell term. So it's just command Openshell term, and you can see here what is actually going on with your sandbox. We talked about tracking requests and auditability. This is exactly what it does. For example, we can see that we have one pending rule. It means something, and let's see exactly what it was. It was Opencode that tried to access this not allowed site, in this case models.dev. This open API for various models, their costs and other data. Probably it's used for some internal statistics, maybe to evaluate cost of requests. But we didn't allow this in our policy, so it's blocked. And you can see review required. It tried it 5 times probably. And in case we want to allow it, we just add it to policy and allow it. In this case, I don't see any reason to allow it. I don't use any statistics in Opencode right now. And we can see here our policy, what we actually allow to Anthropic, GitHub, GitLab, to Vertex, Jira, various NPM stuff, and pipe, and so on. We can edit this to add rules, to remove rules. And this is a very good tool to track what your sandbox and what your agent is actually trying to do or tried to do, and detect possible issues with viruses or any compromised code. Alright, so let's see other way to connect to Sandbox. So you will be provided with kubeconfig, and this kubeconfig you can use for your namespace only. For example, let's see pods that we have right now. Openshell, it's the gateway. Devportal we saw before, and my sandbox is actually my sandbox pod. In this pod we have 2 containers, init container and agent. And let's connect to the pod. We're running exec command, bash. And let's see how we connect. We connected the root, and this is not what we want to do because everything is set up for sandbox user. So let's connect the sandbox user. We'll run this command. Also, we'll need to set home to sandbox because su doesn't set it. And now let's see. We are sandbox. Let's try to run our opencode command, headless. Opencode run, skip permissions, model chosen to sonnet, and print how to add numbers. Let's see if everything works. Authentication, model, Vertex AI. Great, everything worked. So this is a good way to run it without Openshell client. You just connect with Openshift client. And of course you can also use it interactively. Alright, we exited, and now let's see how we run autonomous agent with Openshift client using kubeconfig and pod. So we use exec it, name of the sandbox. This when you see it's container agent. environment send is home sandbox, and we run our usual command run and review the PR. So it should use now GitHub API and Vertex, and let's run it. We can see it's authenticated, fetching the PR as usual, and it should work just fine. And it finished, and exited, and we can see it's probably here. Comment it now. Yeah, it's the same PR review. Cool. So we saw how we can run actual agent using Openshift client, not Openshell. It might be useful, for example, in some environments that you cannot install Openshell client from NVIDIA, but you do have Openshift client and have kubeconfig. It can be done in CI probably, and some environments that are limited for tool installations and so on. But for creating sandbox that you execute command there, you still need to Openshell client. And you can create it once, for example, in Devportal, and just use it for any autonomous workflow that you need to run. All right, let's see a third way to connect to the sandbox. We have command shconfig. What it does, it creates a block that you can add for your SSH config and to connect with SSH to your sandbox. But as you can see, it still requires Openshell client. Let's try it. Let's add it to our SSH config. And let's SSH to the host Openshell-sandbox. And just to check, we will run our usual opencode command. So you can see all authentication worked, and you can use it as is. And this is good actually for IDs, because if you want to use it interactively using your ID, so many of them have plugins to connect to SSH and to edit code with SSH on remote machine. In this case, Sandbox is just a remote machine to which one you connect with SSH. And we will see how to configure IDs later. And of course, you can run remote commands autonomously as well, like that. So we saw how to create Sandbox via Devportal and how to connect to it with 3 different ways, with Openshell, Openshift, and SSH clients. And we can, of course, delete it both from Devportal or just run Openshell Sandbox delete command. And the code is in this repository in GitLab right now, but it will be moved to GitHub. You can copy paste and try it. There is a code that installs actually Openshell on Openshift and define everything that we need for these workflows. It's very easy, it's just a few scripts. You just need Openshift installation for that. So as I promised before, there is create sandbox script that can be used for automatic workflows. What it does, it creates sandbox, run their command with model and prompt, waits for execution to be finished, and delete the sandbox. So it's for one shoot workflow. You can browse the repository and find any useful code for you and try it for your OpenShift. And that's it for today. Thank you very much.